We are live.
Oh, baby,
Woo!
what's going on, Suk?
You psyched up today, guys?
Huh?
Look at Jeff is really psyched.
Jeff's all pumped up today. Look at him.
Big show today.
He's in the control room all by himself.
But we do have a really big show. We have reasons to celebrate.
Suki, listen, before we get going on the start of the show, everybody loading up another amazing Suki and Scott. What is the show? 403, correct?
I think this is 403. Yep.
Yeah, and normally
3 years. Episode 403.
Yeah. And we have a huge show. I mean, listen, does it get any bigger than George Lopez?
No, it's huge.
Coming on the show. This is George's third time in 3 years. So he's on an every year pace.
I love that.
And of course, he's got Lopez versus Lopez on Tuesday nights, NBC at 8:30, which is a fantastic show he's been doing with his daughter Mind. We're going to talk about that, but we'll get into all that when the show starts. We got Dr. Neal Barnard on the show, Sue.
And you might see him. He's very, very famous.
Listen, Dr. Neal.
For being a doctor.
Dr. Neal has like 90 publications on health and diet and eating.
But we're not talking about that.
He's a prominent physician, but we don't care about any of that because he's also a musician with his group called CARBONWORKS, and they are lighting up the charts.
I kind of like their name.
Yeah, CARBONWORKS. So Neal's coming in just a few minutes. Or after George, I should say. George is going to come in first. And Suk, you and I are going to play before George, after we start the show. Everybody's been playing that game, 2 truths, 1 lie.
Yes.
Well, I wanted to know a few things about you that I didn't know. And
boy.
You know some things about me that you probably didn't know. But we're going to go for time purposes because George is a very important man.
Let's go.
For time purposes, it's going to be 1 truth, 1 lie. And you have to guess which one is which.
Okay, and also I have a story that I wanted to talk about with our viewers about double standards.
Double standards.
Or what I think is a double standard. I'll tell you what the story is, and you chime in. So are we ready to start the show?
Jeffrey, let's put us up full screen, start the show,
All right.
Away we go. Let's light it up.
Here we go. Up, and away. Lots of laughs. Good luck. Break a leg. Wait, you want to actually start the show?
Yeah, Jeff, that was your cue.
That was your cue.
To hit the button.
I get a cue?
Yeah.
Oh,
cue,
man.
Put me up full screen. Let's try it again. Suki, we got to fire him. We got to fire the guy. God, can he still hear us?
I'm just like...
We got to fire the guy. I'll give him a little reprieve.
Okay, 3, 2.
All right, we start the show in 3, 2, go.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
Suki and Scott, that's 7 of hearts. Woo! Exactly.
This is a sexy show.
Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey as they bring you the Suki and Scott Show.
You guys nailed it. You're great. You ask great questions. You listen.
I answered you because I have respect for you guys, and it was a question respectfully put.
The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor.
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor!
Entertainment.
Jesse's girl!
Wonderful.
Can you play with all the colors of the wind?
And optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Ultraviolet light, it gets in there and it just fights the kung flu, is that right? Okay.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
That's the best intro for a show I maybe have ever seen. Your intro is fantastic.
Yes, indeed, Eric Roberts. You are correct, sir. Hey, George, good to see you, buddy. We weren't supposed to have you in yet. That's our director, Jeff. So just give it a second. He screwed up again. So here we'll start again. So we got to fire him. Like, can we?
I got excited. What can I tell you?
I'm going to have to take over the controls again.
I wanted to maximize his time.
Holy mother of pearl. Suki, can he hear us? Because we got to let him go after the show.
I think so. All
right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another fantastic Suki and Scott Show. Suk, I'm so friggin' excited today.
We have our friend.
You talk about
person who really believed us from the very beginning. Legend
in Hollywood, Hollywood Walk of Fame, producer, director, actor, comedian. The guy does it all.
Check,
I'm not sure I don't know if he sings, but he does everything but George
Lopez.
Lopez.
He can sing.
George Lopez back on the show, of course. Lopez and Lopez every Tuesday night at 8:30 on NBC. He does the show with his daughter, Maya. It
Mayan,
is
yeah.
so funny. And you got to catch. We're going to talk to George about that and about all the things he's working on. He just had his Celebrity Golf Classic last weekend. Suk, you talk about people. You talk about people showing up.
You know, the last time we spoke to him, look at those pictures right there.
Yeah, there he is. Those are his buddies. You see Anthony Anderson's in there.
Always.
But
in fact, the last time we spoke to him, Anthony Anderson was in the golf cart with him.
Yeah. And George is coming up in just a few minutes. And then we got Dr. Neal Barnard coming up, Suk. Not only is he a very prominent physician in Washington, D.C., but he's the founder.
He is a musician.
He's the founder of a group called CARBONWORKS. And it's unbelievable.
I'll never look at him the same again.
He takes off the doctor's jacket and the stethoscope.
And puts on.
And he puts on, the guitar around his waist.
And he's ready to rock
and roll. So Dr. Neal's coming up in just a few minutes. But listen, before George comes in,
okay,
I wanted to learn some things about you. So I gave Suki
We've only known each other so long, but I feel like we know a lot about each other.
Yeah, we needed to increase our chemistry. So we wanted to do real quick before Mr. Lopez joins us, one truth, one lie.
Yeah,
right.
Two truths and a lie.
Well, that's the game, but we're doing 1 and 1.
Oh, okay.
Right? Did you do 2 truths and a lie?
Yeah.
Oh, great, Suk. I texted you 9 times. 1 truth, 1 lie, 3 segments.
Okay, I thought about it a little bit harder, but that's
Jeff,
okay.
we're gonna have to talk about getting rid of Suki and replacing
all
you
right.
and
One
her.
truth,
No,
one
no.
lie. Okay.
All right, so here's how it works. You're gonna give me the truth and the lie.
Okay.
Okay, no expression in your face.
Okay.
I have to guess, and you have to guess for me which one it is. So I'll start.
Go ahead.
Okay, I will kick it off. Ready?
1 truth, 1 lie.
1 truth, 1 lie.
And I'm
Suki.
picking the truth.
You have to pick the truth. You could say that's a lie or that's the truth. You go whichever way you want. So Suki, I was arrested with 2 friends of mine on spring break in Daytona Beach for throwing water balloons on the chief of police from a hotel window. I am deathly afraid of clowns.
The truth would be getting arrested.
Yes, Suki, you are correct. Nicely done. 1984 Daytona Beach.
I know.
Go ahead. Now you do yours.
1984 Daytona Beach. Those are some good times. I never made it to Daytona.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's do this one. Ran with the Bulls. Tandem jumped out of the plane.
So you ran with the Bulls in Pamplona? Tandem jumped out of a plane. I'm going to go with, I think ran with the Bulls is a lie.
Wrong!
Oh, come on.
I would never, don't ever throw me out of a plane because I'm just not going to do it.
You ran with the Bulls in
Spain? I ran with the
Spain?
Bulls and ran right into a cantina and hung out there like I was just done.
Damn.
And
all right.
it depends on where you are in the pack as to how dangerous it was.
All right, Suki, we continue on. George Lopez coming up in about 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Suki, as a kid, I was in love with Marsha Brady from the Brady Bunch. And Suki, my father once stood outside my classroom in 12th grade with a Gilligan's Island lunchbox shouting, "My son, you forgot your peanut butter and jelly."
I believe your father actually did that in 12th grade.
You are correct, Suki.
Everything that you told me about your dad makes me think he did something.
And you know
like
what?
that.
As much as I love Marsha Brady, I was all about Ginger and Mary.
You were always about Ginger?
Ginger, yeah.
You like Ginger or you like Marianne?
Both, Suki.
At the same time?
Fantasies about both. Let's keep it moving.
Okay, let's keep it moving. Let's see. President of the PTA or president of the college senior class?
You were so president college senior class.
I was.
Because you hate your PTA. That's great. You were the president of your senior class?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great. Suk, I once did, I ran for president of my 5th grade class.
And
I did the whole speech in Nixon's voice. Can you imagine that?
I don't know if that was a good thing.
So I won. Suk, I was like, my fellow classmates, I am not a liar. All right, here we go. Last one, last round. Suk, here you go. While playing around with a bow and arrow when we were kids, my brother shot me in the forehead with an arrow from about 15 feet away.
Okay.
I can type 145 words a minute.
Type 145 words a minute.
Oh, is what, Suki?
Is the truth.
Oh, sorry. My brother did shoot me in the head with an arrow.
Jesus Christ. That made me laugh. My bracelet fell off. That's okay.
Last one. Go ahead.
All right. Voted most likely to succeed in high school or won a shot competition?
Oh, you won the shot competition.
I did.
Nice job, Sue.
When I lived in Spain, we did a bunch
learned
of
a
shot
lot about
competitions, and you earned money. So what did I do? I did the shot
Sue,
competition.
before George comes in, I got one bonus for you. One.
Bonus.
Truth or lie. Suki, a girl I was seeing broke up with me because she said I was too funny and didn't take anything seriously enough.
Where's the other one?
No, I said, this is it. Truth or lie. That one right there.
Oh, truth.
Absolutely, young lady. You believe that?
Like,
this chick called
I'm
me.
always like, can we have a serious conversation? He's like, do we have to?
This girl calls me on a Monday, Suki. I made her laugh too much over the weekend, and we can't. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Ladies
He's married to Mr. Payne. I'm
ladies
sure.
and gentlemen, amazing show for you. The legendary George Lopez coming up right now. Here's a little bit of George, and then we're going to bring him in on the other side. Come on. There he is, ladies
You're
and
like, when is
gentlemen.
this going to end? I can see your face. Like, can we get to this?
I'm exhausted.
He's exhausted just from
and those are all things that teachers and friends and family told me I was wasting my time doing.
Yes, yes. George, you know what's funny? When I was putting that together, I had like 10 pictures. It was like 40 seconds. And then I just keep finding these great shots. I'm like, oh, I got to put George in. I got to put Prince in. You're sitting with Prince on the couch. But it's just, listen, man, you, first of all, we love you for coming on. We know that you have an insanely busy schedule, and that's not lost on us, the favor you're doing by coming on the show. We absolutely love you for it, pal.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah, no, it's great. And George, of course, Sue, we talk about it all the time. You know, we just lost Jerry Springer, who we were talking about, one of our first celebrities. I know George loved Jerry. Jerry was I think the first celebrity who came on. Yeah. When we were doing Zoom shows, George was nice enough to also come on from a golf game. He spoke to us for like 40 minutes, so generous with the time, George. And literally your appearance on this show, even just while we were doing it, it gave us credibility. It catapulted the show. Because, George, 400 shows later,
yes,
and 800 celebrities and performers, I always say it's because of you and Jerry Springer doing us the favor that it just snowballed into, oh, well, George Lopez was on? Sure, I'll be on. And again, we thank you, bud, for all the love you've given us.
You know, I met Jerry Springer in the 1988 at the conservatory in Kentucky. He was the mayor of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I think he had been ousted. And he would come and see us do stand-up. I was like not even 30. And then, later on we saw each other at an event. And I said, hey, man, you remember me from the conservatory? And then I had the show. And when we had the first show, I always had fun stunt casting people. There was a bunch of people that meant a lot to me growing up. And I reached out to Jerry, and he played my mom's boyfriend, Wayne. I love the name I gave him, Wayne.
Wayne. And this is the original George Lopez show.
Yeah. And Jerry he's like, I'm not an actor. And I said, just be Wayne. Like, just be the guy from Kentucky.
I love it. I love it. And listen, you know what? Of course, we'll talk about Lopez versus Lopez. But while we're on the original George Lopez show, Soup, did you know, and George, tell me if this is true, because not everything you read is true. You were doing your stand-up. You were a young guy. And Sandra Bullock kind of discovered you and said, hey, I want to do a sitcom with you.
We met, and she came to see me at an improv here in Los Angeles. And And she came backstage and she said, "Oh my God, I think I need to reevaluate my idea for this show because my idea has the kids as central figures, but I think after watching your 45-minute set, your life is like a train wreck you can't turn away from. we're losing the kids, and we're gonna make you and the mom and the wife the central." And the Phil Jackson triangle, not even about team, just the philosophy of the triangle.
Yeah, the triangle.
Always having threes. I did that on the show. Is me, my mom, and my wife. Me, my wife, and my friends. Me, my wife, and the kids.
Right.
Me, my wife, and my bosses. And the triangle
Works
in that comedy.
Listen, George, I can't help but look at all the guitars in the back. I mean, are they given to you from people, or what were they? What are they? What do they mean to you?
Eddie Van Halen and I were very good friends, so there's.
I was going to say, is that Van Halen's guitar back there?
This is one of only 4 right here.
One of 4? Oh my gosh, this is pretty incredible.
He's got the Zeppelin poster.
Oh man!
This is one of,
wow!
It's a stealth. And then here, this is the day you gave it to me.
I love the black on that.
Yeah,
right?
I know. It's called the stealth. You can tell why it's called the stealth. Oh man, that's incredible! Incredible.
He gave it to my son, and then my son gave it to me.
Oh, that's
I look like I'm 20 years old. But this is
incredible, incredible.
But you don't.
Later on, I got to figure out how to get it back up there now.
And he really did have a good golf game. Were you the better golfer, or was he the better golfer?
No, I kicked his ass every time. Once he found out what the PXG, I remember he said he came over to me and he put his hand in my chest and he goes, "Hey, those clubs are like $5,000." I said, "Yeah, man, you want to play golf? Play with the best clubs." He goes, "But I didn't get you anything." I said, "Man, I didn't get you these clubs so you get me something." He's like, "All right, I'm gonna get you something." I said, "Oh, is it gonna be a guitar? Let me guess." And what made it special is that it's one of the 4 black stealths.
One of the 4 black stealths. And may he rest in peace too. What
and George,
I miss him every day. I mean, I'm not sure what the whole thing of this world is. If the next place is better, but when someone goes, if you spent every second with them, it still wouldn't be enough time. So I'm not sure how we look at all of that.
It's so well said. I mean, yeah. I really do think about that all the time because, time, it never feels like it's enough with the people that you love. It just never feels like it fills your tank completely. I think
you can go back to your childhood where all your aunts were alive, all your uncles were alive, all your friends were in their houses, and all parents were alive. And it's almost like in that particular moment, like whatever your world is, it's perfect because no one has been torn up by a sudden death, by getting a call in the middle of the night.
Right.
And it's in that place that later on you realize you should have, you don't know that moment because it hasn't happened. And then later on you think, man, we could just go back to when everybody was around. I mean,
there.
Such a Benjamin Button idea of going backwards.
Yeah.
Now
there you go, George. We'll take you backwards.
George, when you look at this picture, did you ever imagine that the life that you would live, or did you ever think about the life that you would create, not only for yourself, but your kids and talk about, changing generations? Oh my God, look at how handsome you are.
Very
I like that.
Nice feathery hair.
I like that.
I had the best hair. My grandfather hated that haircut. I spent $10 on it. And
you still do, man. You still got a great head of hair. And look at you.
He snapped my hair dryer. I'm glad because it was a 75,000 watts back there. Nobody knew the wattage.
George, what position were you playing when you were playing ball back when you were a kid?
I played third base. I pitched, and then when they got mad at me, I played right field.
right. Everybody goes in the right field when you're that age.
And I was a better summer player. Like, it was hot out here, and I had great summers, and then we would play winter league, and then it was, drizzling, and we'd still play. And I was a terrible cold weather player. And then I got one letter from the Cincinnati Reds, and then I didn't sell all my car wash tickets that our coach got arrested. Martin was trying to raise money instead of by having a car wash. I'm like, you really think Latinos washing cars is the best idea? And he tried to make me pay for the tickets, and then he tore my letter up from the Reds.
Oh man,
no Reds for you.
No Reds.
Unbelievable. Listen, it turned out pretty good, George. You're doing okay, I think.
It's a very interesting life. Like it's a little bit of Forrest Gumpish. I mean, last Monday. I mean, I've always loved music, and I believe it's because I spent so much time alone that the radio was around. It wasn't very loud. I never listened to anything loud, and the idea that Smokey Robinson and Robbie Krieger and Jerry Cantrell from Alice in Chains and Joe Pesci and Ben Baller. All I did was Jack Nicholson impressions in front of Joe Pesci the whole day.
Oh my God, I know. I saw a picture the other day. I love when you have these shots with some of your friends. Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
Yeah.
Because it is just you look at these shots and it's just a who's who of people in the industry. There you go. There's Cedric, right? And but
it's really more of a who's kissing ass.
And then you got this one right here. I mean, look at this. Look at this table right there. Look at that's just 4 badasses right there at one table. Look at Pesci, right? Pesci looks like he looks like he's always ready to put out a hit on somebody.
And everybody's hat game is really strong right there.
Oh yeah.
I love that, man.
And Pesci and I are having martinis every year. It's become a tradition where we have martinis.
Is that at the golf outing at the end of it or something like that? Is it okay?
Yeah, Edward James Olmos is in there.
Yeah, we love him.
Oh, Andy Garcia, so great.
Love him.
And again, George, you look at your upbringing and how you were raised by your grandmother, right? And like you said, this is the typical American dream story, man, where you didn't have your parents around. You were raised by your grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are right now. I mean, Hollywood Walk of Fame, sitcom, stand-up. You're on Fallon. I know you hosted, you guest hosted Kimmel. During the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's just, sometimes you probably, your own show, Lopez Tonight. And I would assume, are there times where you still look back at where you came from, man, and you just go, holy cow, I can't believe all the things that I was able to accomplish in this lifetime.
A friend of mine drove at 14 years old. He worked. His father and his family worked at General Motors, and he drove at 14. I mean, the idea of that is crazy. And then we would drive to Hollywood Boulevard every day at 10 o'clock and go get coffee and donuts and walk up and down Hollywood Boulevard. And I would see George Burns, George Hamilton, and I would stay there. And those guys were further down the block, and I would imagine that the George Burns star said George Lopez.
Yep.
Wow.
You don't ever know. And that day right there was
surreal.
Very. And then all my friends were there. I lost the guy who I didn't realize until he passed away, Ernie Ariano, that all of the things that I do today were his ideas and not mine. He said, "Hey, let's go do comedy." Turned me on to Richard Pryor, turned me on to golf, and he turned me on to guitars. And none of those ideas were mine.
Well, George, do you actually play the guitar?
I use it to, I'm dyslexic, so I use it to remember my lines. I put the script in front of me and I'll say, how can you do that? Because you can't, but then I just do back and forth.
Wow.
Wait. You strum the guitar and then you just kind of,
memorize the
lines.
Because I did a movie with Edward James Olmos in New Mexico, and there was so much stuff to do dialogue-wise every night. And I said, if you just look at them and try to repeat them, I said, I have to attach them to something. So I'd get the guitar and I would say, we're going to come here and we're going to go do this. And then somehow there's a rhythm in the speaking. Everything is musical anyways. And it helped me.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Dementia runs in my family, so I don't know how much time I got left. But 4 years ago, I was brilliant.
Everyone's hitting you up right now.
And then, everybody was a doctor. Latinos, man, nobody goes to the doctor, but everybody's a doctor. They come out, hey, don't ever leave me in the room with that kid. He's crazy. Everybody's diagnosing everybody. And they would say to my grandmother, they would say, 'cause my grandmother, I'm not sure if she never hated anybody, but you knew she didn't like anybody either. So, somebody, they say, well, you're pretty hard on your grandmother. I said, well, my grandmother never told me that she loved me, but also in her defense, she never said hello. So, They would say your grandmother's getting very forgetful, and I'm like, listen, I think it's you. I said, you know what? When you're not here, she remembers your name, but when you're here, she can't figure out why she wants to open the door.
So funny.
Gotta love grandma.
And I think when that first show started, all of that was new to me. Being in the New York Times and being in Time Magazine and all those things and the writer who wrote this piece in Time Magazine said that I should thank my grandmother. My grandma was still living at that time, and because she would have been my muse. Like everything that I had in my life was derived from talking about her, and I didn't even know muse. And I got it. And that guy was right. That guy is 100% correct. Like when I attached my childhood to my grandmother and my friends to my grandmother and the house to my grandmother, everything just
came to life.
And it's really difficult, especially like to be a writer, and I've directed some stuff, but also to know where the joke goes is just, it's almost like if you get some wrenches and then you go take an automobile class and you don't know how to do the timing belt. And then all of a sudden one day you're quite the mechanic. I mean, nobody has a timing belt anymore, but but you learn by your own wits. And that's another thing too. Like everybody was trying to remember things, but also you had to have some wits about you. You had to remember how things worked. You had to remember how things got lined up. You had to, and I think the toughest thing for kids or people that come from limited resources is that nobody ever teaches you to speak up for yourself. So you lose years of just not even really being able to say, "Hi, I'm George. I'm in this class."
Yeah.
And I think it's a disservice. So social media keeps kids on phones, which they're more attached to media, but they're not more attached to people.
Right.
Yeah. George, listen, Lopez versus Lopez on NBC. We're in the second season now. Tuesday nights, 8:30, NBC. That, of course, your daughter Mayan, and and I know you and I think we spoke about it last time we talked on the show, and you were getting ready for this thing.
Yeah, you're teeing it up.
It's very public how you guys had you had a rough relationship and her childhood, so on and so forth. Don't even need to get into that, but how thrilling is it right now just to be doing this, working with your daughter? I got to imagine you guys are
second season
closer than ever, on this project.
This show was created by Debbie Wolf. She saw Mayan's TikTok where somebody was going after me for the kidney and everything in the family. And then Mayan did a TikTok where she, went after that guy and it became a big thing. And Debbie saw that one night.
Right.
And then Anthony Anderson saw it and we were playing golf and he said, "You see Maya's TikTok, man?" I said, "I did."
Yeah.
And he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I don't like it, but what can I do about it? I can't tell her not to do it." And it's just one of those things where you finally realize that your child is an adult, and in the middle of the night, if she wants to twerk upside down and hold up a fake bag of money, talking about how they took all your money, I wish you well.
But it was a conversation that needed to get started, and it started, and now you guys are on the second season where you're able to explore the dynamics. What I love about it is that every relationship doesn't have to have an expiration date. Maybe it gets sidelined, bookshelved for a minute, but you can come back to something that brings you together. And you as a father, you're able to explain your side of the story and your human aspect of the frailty of who we are as parents. God knows the two of us are about as fragile as can be.
Yeah.
George, not me.
But I love that aspect of fragility of seeing parents as not having all the answers, but as a work in progress, and children being able to see that for themselves too.
I also think that All in the Family, or the Jeffersons, or the Partridge Family, or Eight is Enough, Sanford and Son, Chico and the Man. My grandmother was a huge McLeod. She loved Dennis Weaver.
Dennis
Weaver. Bring him to the house because I won't get.
Dennis Weaver.
And I think the things that I gravitated to had some peril to them. I never thought that I would screw up, and I wasn't connected to anything because my grandmother and grandfather didn't connect me to anything. So I didn't really understand how valuable people were because everybody left me that was around me. So it's not an excuse, but I wasn't taught. You know, you throw somebody in the pool and they don't know how to swim, they're going to drown.
Yeah.
And I didn't find out till later, but I caused a lot of people a lot of hurt. They've bought things with that doesn't take the place of the hurt, or it doesn't take over the time of the hurt. And that's on me. And you know, social media would say whatever, but I'm past all that. I mean, I'm 2 years old. I'm not a child. And being able to leave in my wake, you know, the first show, which was about a man trying to prove to his wife that he's a father and trying to prove to his mom that he's a man. And that's really a lot. That's very simple, very simply put. And here I'm trying to incorporate myself back into my father's life, into my daughter's life, but also I'm more the child in this show, and they're both the parents. And there's some pretty incredible. Selena's Leyva is brilliant, and that little kid is fantastic, and Matt and Mayan and everybody's really good. I mean, it's just so you know, does lightning? I mean, hey, Lee Trevino got hit by lightning twice, so it can strike people twice.
Ed, we're talking about Lopez versus Lopez, NBC, Tuesday nights at 8:30. Of course, George starring with his daughter, Maya. George, you know, you had mentioned...
Is she a golfer? I want to know about that.
Nah, is she not a golfer, is she?
No, she's not.
No. You had mentioned, real quick, Chico and the Man. And I remember as a little kid, one of the first comedy specials I ever saw on HBO was Freddie Prinze and Friends.
Right.
And I thought Freddie Prinze was one of the... It was also the first time I heard cursing and comedy. How big do you think Freddie Prinze would have become if he didn't pass away at such an early age?
You know, he was doing incredible things. He was co-hosting the Tonight Show. Him and Jack Albertson had a road show. He was opening for Diana Ross at Caesars in Lake Tahoe. And I think when he was in New York, I think that he already had drug issues and insecurity and depression. And the thing that I think was Freddie's downfall was that he was a statue. He was like 6'2", where he looked like a man, but was a boy inside.
Right.
And they treated him like a man, but he didn't have the answers. And this was way before you could go get clean and stuff. And, you know, once you have the resources to go buy cocaine or things make you depressed, you go buy a gun. And then it was just really, really, really sad. I mean, I remember the day that I got up to go to school in that January 77, and they had said it on the radio. And I sat on the edge of my bed for maybe 25 minutes with my mom. I just didn't move. I couldn't believe it. And when I used to start to drink, you know, I would cry over Freddie, where everybody would cry because they're angry. And my buddies would be like, this dude right here, man. You're crying about somebody you didn't know? Somebody he didn't know. I loved him.
I loved him.
And you know, it was the first time I fell in love when I saw him in 1973.
He was gorgeous.
I fell in love with him. I love at first sight. And then when I went to go get my star in the Walk of Fame, I told Johnny Grant, well, I'm not going in until Freddie Prinze goes in. He said, I think Freddie Prinze is in.
Yeah.
But now he's not. I'm not going in until he goes in. Well, he goes, let me get back to you. And he came back and he goes, you're right. He's not in there. So I paid $10,000 to get Freddie Prinze's star put in before mine. And then and then Junior was there, and the widow was there, and everybody that was in Freddie's life, Della Reese, Paul Williams, very special for all of them.
Yeah.
Paid for it. I stood in the back. And then hey, man. And then Freddie Prinze Jr. comes over to me because we're already friends. And he said, my grandma wants to talk to you.
Oh, wow.
And he said, George, she always said, my Freddie. Everybody forgot my Freddie. And if my Freddie was still alive, that you guys would be best friends. And
I could see that. I could see that.
It's really, I mean, just, it's beyond my realm of, I was stupid as a kid. I'm not that much smart as an adult, but it's beyond my realm of thinking.
Wow.
And I'm kind, you know. I'm kind. I mean, I you know, to be on thing, it's very different. I think people have a very different perception of me. You know, I raised millions of dollars for kids who have kidney disease because I did, but I did not want to be a poster person for kidney disease. I didn't want to have the banner. I didn't want to try to go and raise money for kidney disease. And a day and a half after I had my transplant, and I woke up in the morning and just immediately felt better than I ever had in my life. I felt that it would be a disservice to health to turn my back on people who were sick. And we've raised tens of millions of dollars, and we just had the golf tournament on Monday.
Yep.
But that's one thing where I always started things, I never finished them. And I've committed myself to this one. That's very rare for me because I usually like, yeah, we'll do it again next year. No, we're not. but it's brought all of that, all of those things brought me my friends, and it brought me some of my oldest friends together and people that I idolized. Sugar Ray Leonard, Andy Cheadle, Chris Pett, DL, and we're all a little bit dinged up and dented, but when we get together, we really, really do have a good time. I mean, Smokey Robinson and Edward James Olmos and Robbie Krieger from the Doors and Jerry Cantrell. I mean, it's beyond my imagination.
Oh, you got Robbie Krieger from the Doors in there. Yeah, I didn't even realize that.
And I said, hey, I saw that thing on Access, your show at the Hollywood Bowl. He goes, yeah, Jim was pretty good in the beginning, and then he just kind of lost it toward that. I thought it was pretty good because they didn't know how much drugs Jim took until about 3 songs in, and then it progressively get a little bit worse. But Robbie has been playing golf since he was 10. His father joined Riviera. Right now, I believe it's $450,000 to join, and Robbie said it was $600.
Wow!
Yeah, that's where you go, right, George?
I go. That's Lakeside right there. Bob Hope was a member there.
Oh my God, that's got to be something to just.
And Robbie, his dad paid $600 to get in.
You know what?
Wow. I'd like to be just a caddy there one day, George, just to see who comes and hangs out and banging them around a little bit.
Well, let me know what day that is. I'll call ICE on you. No.
You can't deport the Jewish guy, George. Come on.
He's Jewish, George.
I went to Israel. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Did
you know what, George? My daughter's graduating from Penn State this weekend.
Congratulations.
And then next week she goes to Israel. Yeah, it's wild.
It's interesting, man, because I went to Israel. Benjamin Netanyahu, I met him out here and shook my hand. He said, I have to ask you a favor. Would you go to my country? And I said, absolutely. We'll arrange a trip. And I went. And when I was there, I was getting things here that were very hateful things towards me. And I went to Israel. I went to see where it all started.
Yeah.
And funny, man, that all these years, hundreds of thousands of years later, that we're still hanging on to that, whatever that thing is.
Whatever it is, yeah.
It's crazy, right?
It happens every day.
Every day, yeah. Well, George, listen, man, I don't care what Suki says. I think we know you're a good man. We know you're a good man. And listen, last time we always told you this show is going to get to a bigger place. And it just, since you've been on, it's grown organically. We're in this beautiful set. Everybody's jumping on. We start, Georgia, on June 1st on a network across the country called Cheddar News. USA Today Network was starting on soon. So again, there we go. There's our graphic. We're reaching millions of folks each month. And I always tell Suk, you, and I always love to credit Jerry Springer. You guys are amongst the first, and you saw something in us, which made you come back on. And we love you for it, my friend. We love you for it.
Is Cheddar News like when you want to go get Wonder Bread, but then you have to get like
kind of like that.
You're not getting Oreos, but you're getting Hydrox.
Yeah, it's the Hydrox of news networks. No,
it's you guys work hard. It's not an easy thing to do, but you guys make it look really, really easy, and that is the brilliance of someone who makes it look like they're not even trying.
Well, listen,
thank you, my friend.
And then Scott wants to say, and us from the bottom of the heart, thanks for keeping us pushing during a time that was really difficult for the two of us.
Yeah.
You really were inspirational, and you kept us aspiring to the next level and to the next level. And as you know, when you're starting out, there's so many doors that get slammed in your face. But we just kept pushing because we just kept believing and
we're still pushing.
Yeah. And if someone like you can see a bright spot in us, we just felt like it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just keep doing it.
And then also, you get a bounce. Somebody said, hey, I heard somebody say that this was a fun place to be. That's why I'm here. And then that just begets all those other things.
Yeah. And before we go, you talk about a great guy. I had to do something for Extra one day.
Yeah.
And I said, George, would you jump on with me? They're going to run this on Extra.
Oh, I know.
I need a huge name to come. This guy bounced right on with me. They ran the show. They put it on. It was fantastic. I still use it in my demo today.
Yeah.
George, we love you, pal. Listen.
Thank you, George.
Lopez versus Lopez, Tuesday nights, 8:30, NBC.
Congratulations.
You got to check it out. Congrats, my friend. Hopefully, do we know about a season 3 yet or no? They don't tell you yet.
No, we won't know because of the writer's strike. I'm not even supposed to be reading. I can get in trouble. No.
George, we love you, pal. We know you got to bounce. And listen, once every year, so figure this time next year, I'm going to text you.
And whoever you need for my show, I'll have them come on.
We'd love to talk to your daughter.
Get your daughter on.
I'll get mine to do it.
You got it, my man. We love you, pal. George, thank you so much.
Bye, George.
Thank you, everybody. God bless you.
You're the best.
God bless you, George. Thank you.
I love that man, Suk. I
know.
He really is the best.
It's really, like I really feel like if he saw us, like if we happen to go out to LA.
Oh, we're going to that golf club, the Riviera.
He's definitely going to call the police on you. But I feel like he would be like, I know this guy, but the cops are still going to come and get you off the property.
Suk, how about this for a sitcom? A Jewish guy, an Indian girl, and a Mexican comedian hit the golf course all in the same day. Listen, we need to do a battery change. So here's a quick word from our good friends at Barish and McGarry. Take a listen. And then we got Dr. Neal coming up on the other side. Another unbelievable career and a great musician, Suk. So stick around. More Suki and Scott coming up. We love you guys. Here's a little Barish and McGarry. Hey, everybody. It's your pal Suki and Scott here with a very important message from our friends at the law firm of Barish and McGarry.
Did you live, work, or go to school in Lower Manhattan below Canal Street, either on 9/11 or in the 8 months after?
If you did, you need to contact Barish and McGarry at 911deadline.com. I know several people who did, and they are very happy right now.
And you too may be eligible for free lifetime health care, as well as an award from the 9/11 Victim Compensation Fund.
Suk, let's say it again. Free lifetime health care. Our government created these programs for everyone who was breathing in all that toxic dust.
But you see, a lot of people aren't enrolling because they think it's only for first responders.
Couldn't be further from the truth. The fund is also for office workers who were working downtown at the time.
Also, the 25,000 downtown residents. How about the 50,000 students and teachers who are also in the area?
And even if you're currently healthy, you can get in touch with Barish and McGarry at 911deadline.com. They're the lawyers for the 9/11 community.
It's 911deadline.com.
Yeah, Barish and McGarry. Suk, Dr. Neal Barnard coming up. He is the founder of a group called CARBONWORKS. George Lopez just left the show. So can you imagine? We started in my parents' basement,
I know.
Now we got George Lopez coming on for the third time.
I know. And this is just all part of how the show is expanding and getting bigger. All right, so Scott did a little thing about 2 truths and a lie, right?
Yeah, that was fun before.
Are we freezing? I don't know what we're doing.
Are we frozen?
I don't know. I don't think we are, but we might be.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We're good.
Okay,
we're back.
Good. Okay,
We're back.
All right.
Go ahead.
So let me just pull this up.
Go ahead. You have a very interesting
story.
So
I always find it very interesting, like when you're reading the news these days and everybody's talking about, hey, everybody should have a fair shake at everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to men and women, battle of the sexes, right?
Yes.
So Gwyneth Paltrow just went on a podcast, which I thought was kind of interesting. She's been talking a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Goop founder opened up to host Alex Cooper. Her podcast is called Call Her Daddy.
Oh, nice. Alex Cooper. That young girl makes a
ton of money,
Suki,
a ton of money.
Fortune.
And so she was revealing a lot of things, but she was talking about relationships, most importantly, some of her high profile relationships, Ben Affleck being one of them, and also Brad Pitt. So she talked about Brad Pitt, and she was saying that he was fantastic in bed. I'm like ad-libbing this, right? So,
you're paraphrrising?
Yeah, paraphrasing.
How was Brad Pitt in bed? Was he good too?
She was talking about it as, kind of like kill, what's that game?
F, marry, kill.
Yeah, F, marry, kill. And you know what the F stands for. And if you don't,
what's F, marry, kill?
Yeah, you know what it is.
Who would you sleep with? Who would you marry? Who would you kill?
Who would you like? Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Suki.
So obviously, she said she would marry the father of her children, who's the front man for Coldplay, Chris Martin. She said that she would, sleep with, again, guess who?
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Not Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Okay. You slept
I
with
said,
Brad Pitt
yes,
in high school.
I slept with Brad Pitt. But then she said that she would like actually say goodbye to Ben Affleck. And then I was just kind of like,
But he just started doing those great
I
Dunkin' Donuts commercials.
He's with J-Lo. They're married. I mean, like, I just kind of feel like, what are we doing here? Why is she talking about them? She described both of them as being good kissers.
Right.
But then she just said that there was something about, you know, her love story, her passion. It was instant for Brad. Whereas Ben was good, but it was a little bit more mechanical per se. He was good, but he was a little bit more.
But what you and I were talking about
is like
double standard.
It's a double standard because how would you feel if a woman?
Brad Pitt was talking about
a
women
woman
that he slept with.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Right. Yeah.
So
people would be up in arms.
I kind of like. I was curious because everybody wants to know what they're like, right? And it's kind of interesting that Gwyneth Paltrow, an A-list celebrity, is talking about this. But in the same hand, I was thinking, how would I feel if Brad was talking about Gwyneth and Ben was talking about Gwyneth or J-Lo? I mean, would you feel okay about it?
If Brad was talking about Angelina Jolie or Jennifer Aniston or one of the other women that he was with,
it just feels like he would be.
As much as we'd love to hear it,
but I think
women would be. I think mostly women would be like, "Man, why is he dishing out on
exactly?" I think he would have a huge backlash. So I feel like there's a double standard about this between men and women. I think that we really need to level out the playing field as women, to be able to, you know. It's kind of like practice what you preach.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be the change, become the change. I don't know.
Suki, I like that.
I don't know.
Did Martin Luther King say that?
I think so. Or maybe Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi said that?
I don't know. Somebody.
All right.
Somebody very, very
Suki, you know who we could ask about that?
But anyway.
Our next guest.
Our
Dr. Neal Barnard.
The
doctor by day. By the way, very influential, prominent doctor by day, musician by night. Dr. Neal Barnard has a group called CARBONWORKS. And Suk, when you look at his story, when he moved to Washington D.C. to go to medical school, he also was like at night he was playing in the clubs.
It was his passion
because that's his passion. So here's a little bit of Dr. Neal and CARBONWORKS, and then we're going to bring him in on the other side. Take a look. Ladies and gentlemen. Wait a minute.
Great to see you.
Dr. Neal, so right this minute, you look very much like a doctor and not a musician.
Well, if your tie is narrow enough, it counts as a musician.
All right, I got you.
You're right. Remember when the narrow ties,
the Rick Springfield.
Rick Springfield ties back in the day.
You got it. Exactly.
Dr. Neal, thank you so much for coming on today. Just an absolute pleasure.
I wouldn't miss it.
Your career is so distinguished and just
Amazing.
in the medical field alone. Like I was saying to Suki, you have over 80 publications in the medical field, books and journals.
Yeah, about health and wellness.
And here we are. We're like, listen, we just want to talk about his music career. But there's like what Dr. Neal eats in a day. So we're going to talk about that stuff in a little bit.
We have to ask you these questions.
Yeah,
but we're going to talk about music.
We're going to do a little medical stuff in a little bit. But let's talk about CARBONWORKS because the story is fantastic. I mean, you grew up in Fargo, North Dakota. You studied piano, cello, guitar. And then when you went to Washington, D.C. as a medical student and a resident, you were also a fixture, right, on the D.C. music scene because you weren't giving that up. And even with all the work and mental capabilities that being a medical student entails, how were you able to manage both of those things?
Well, I always say that medicine and more intellectual kind of things are part of your head. But music really is in your heart, and And for me, that was always part of it. But I got to say, you do get into trouble sometimes. One day, when I was during my rotations, I was rotating through one of the psychiatric wards, and so I was one of the doctors there, and we had a patient who's there who shall remain nameless, but happened to have a really severe eating disorder, and really needed to be in the hospital to make sure her eating would stay on track to be healthy, but she was allowed to leave on the weekend. So anyhow, my band is playing at the 930 Club, which is kind of the original classic kind of new wave club downtown DC, 930 F Street. So anyway, I'm in the dressing room. I'm getting my guitar together, and the band is together. We're talking about our sets, and into the dressing room walked this patient, and she looked like she'd had a few drinks, and she came in and she looked at me and saw me, this doctor that she knew from the hospital, and it just stunned her, and she kind of walked out. So anyway, she was okay, and she was just on a pass, but couldn't imagine her doctor would be in this rock and roll band. So Monday morning, I go into the hospital, and one of the attending physicians grabs me as I come in. She says, "I am really worried about this patient." She said that the patient tells me that she saw you playing in a band at a club. And I think she's hallucinating. And she wasn't this sick before. I think we need to start her on medication. And I said, no, it's true. I actually was there. But anyway, so sometimes you get into a little bit of trouble with trying to combine the two.
Dr. Neal, do you come along with your own music soundtrack? What's that music I'm hearing in the background? Is that you?
I got to tell you, I'm doing it. Forgive me for having a little soundtrack. I'm at the American Film Institute, where we have a CARBONWORKS event here at AFI, and at the American Film Institute, they got films, and it happens to be Star Wars afternoon. So if you hear, if you see a little bit of jet exhaust or something, that's what it is.
Because I swear to God, Dr. Neal,
where's that music coming from?
I'm like, what's going on? There's music, and you're talking, and you're setting the stage so beautifully. Listen, what type of music? I should say, what type of music is inspirational to you, or inspired you to like pick up the piano, the cello, and all the other instruments as a young person?
When I was a kid, it was all classical music, but it didn't stir my heart. You learned the scales and you would play these various things, but it just wasn't me. But in 1963, the Beatles came. And the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan. And that's when my black and white world became color. And I thought, that's music. And from there, I thought I wanted to understand that music. I wanted to play the guitar. I wanted to start writing and things. And so it kind of went from there. And that was a little bit of a rebellious kind of music in some ways. But ever since that time, what we have done, this is us playing at downtown DC back when I was in medical school. And we would then get into more blues and jazz and international music. And because I lived for a little while in Europe as an exchange student, which is a totally humiliating experience. I didn't speak the language where I was. I didn't
always.
But I got to tell you, it's a good thing to get out of your comfort zone and to realize there's other music and other languages out there. So CARBONWORKS has a singer who is American.
Oh, wow.
A singer who is Italian.
Wow.
We have a singer who sings in German and French. And we put some salad together in these languages, because how if you're in an opera, let's say you're watching an opera, and the opera's in Italian, obviously. If you put it in English, it sounds cheap. So we use languages the way you'd use instruments. So there's some things that sound right in French.
I love it.
That's beautiful.
Let's take a look at one of the videos of CARBONWORKS. It's called "End of the World," and I believe it's just you and I think it's the woman with the violin. Yeah. You guys take a look at this, and then we'll come back.
Yesterday, I spent all morning just working.
That was not "End of the World," Neal. You know that.
But that's a good one. I'm glad you showed that. You know what that is? I got to tell you, that is called Training That Works.
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna.
I was
going to say, you know what? Lead us into that one, and then we'll play.
Yeah.
Then we'll play Training That Works.
Okay. Should I tell you a little? Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about this. I don't know if you happen to read the New Yorker very much, but the New Yorker covers, they very often have something a little garlicky on the cover. and it's done by a guy named Dave Plunkett. And he happens to be a friend of the band. And he did a lot of music videos for They Might Be Giants and others. So anyway, Bob Gray, who's the guitarist who plays with me, wrote this song, Training That Works, which is a goofy kind of Talking Heads, David Byrne kind of thing about, I'm so happy at my job because I have training that works. And it's just kind of silly and ridiculous. But Dave Plunkett got a hold of it. And it almost has this feeling of that old Charlie Chaplin movie where he's stuck in a factory and his body is getting dragged through the gears. It's a little bit like that, where here's this guy in a factory. So I can't say this song has any deep meaning. It doesn't. It's just a goofy, fun, tap your toe. It's 1985 and I'm gonna have fun kind of song.
I love it.
Let's take a look. Training That Works. Hit it, Jeffrey.
Yesterday, I spent all morning just working on memos. My boss says, and I'm sure, communication's essential. 'Cause I've had training that works. I've had classes that help. I know just who to ask. I'm sure I'll do just fine. Here we go.
I like this song a lot.
We were saying it, very, very Talking Heads. It sounds like them a little bit.
Yeah. Anyway, it's cool stuff. It's fun stuff. So many of our songs do have a message. I'm not sure the Training That Works does, other than just let's have some fun.
Yeah, I
Well,
love it.
let's put the other song on. That
Yeah,
we
yeah.
wanted
So
to
this
talk
is
about.
because
I love that
found
one too.
I found the beginning of this song, "End of the World." It's got it dips to black and goes into the full band. It's just kind of featuring you, and what's the woman's name with the violin?
Allegra Havens. Allegra's a wonderful musician. She works with the Virginia Symphony, and I've known her for years, and she is the best.
Yeah, and I loved it, Soup, because it's really cool the way they're just going back and forth, and it's really just the two of them.
It's beautiful.
Jeff, play "End of the World" for a second. Take a look at this one. Very cool, right?
What is it? Which instrument do you love the most? Because obviously you were trained on so many different instruments, and you can play so many. Is it the guitar now? That's kind of your heart.
Yeah, the guitar's mine, but it's got to fit. I'd rather not try to be up front and just have this be a guitar band with everybody behind me. You want to work with singers. Meld voices and instruments, and you want to heck. A lot you need the black, you need the bass. You want to, bounce.
Neil, I think we're getting a little
up,
funky breakup in the signal there.
Okay, here you go.
The American Film Institute. You good now?
Yeah.
Oh no! Don't tell me I froze.
There you
okay,
go.
there you go. Now
I
you're
think
back.
You're back.
So Neil, what do you want people to take away from your music? I mean, obviously this is such a big passion of yours, and you're talking about music and speaking all those different languages.
Yeah.
So
great.
What do you want people to take away when they hear your songs?
I'm hoping people might say, let's say you go to YouTube and you look at our videos, you'll see a lot of them do have meanings, particularly about compassion. There are a couple of songs that relate to the onset of war, World War II or Vietnam era, but there are also a number of all the bad things we people plan with. I'm talking about the animals that end up in slaughterhouses. The idea is to let our heart open up a little bit and to see what we can do to make this.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, no, and I think the Wi-Fi there is getting a little spotty, but I did pull one more song, Suk, and it was the Samurai official video with this beautiful young girl in it. Jeff, play that one, and then we'll come back to Dr. Neal in a sec.
11th of June, the war was over. In her pockets were clovers and bits of the moon. All too soon, the wind blew colder. She buckled her armor where ribbons had been.
All right, Dr. Neal, I'm going to say this right
Suki,
now.
my doctor's in a music video.
You know, I feel like when I listen to that song, like you would have been in CBGBs back in the day.
You know, I've got to say, you can have a song that's really loud and raucous like that one, but when you put a little girl in there, it all just becomes sweet. You know, sweet.
Absolutely.
It becomes sweet.
Yeah, there she is.
It's kind of like when U2, when they put the cover of the Child on War, it almost made it feel so real as to like what the collateral damage would be. And I feel like all your music has a message towards that, like you said, compassion,
yeah, love it,
loving each other, figuring out that we're not all so different, are we?
Yeah, exactly. And in some cases it's a little tough to hear. We did a song called "God Save the King" that's really about the beginnings of World War II. And we show footage of the munitions factories building up and children getting brought into the Nazi movement and the sowing the seeds of hatred. And it's really tough we use archival footage that we got from the US government. And it's tough to see kind of how things sometimes work out. And in modern times, hatred is unfortunately all too common as well. So I don't want to be Hallmark card about it. I don't want to be silly and say, let's just all love each other and be hippies. But what I do want to say is that everything that we do to alleviate suffering, whether it's a human or an animal or somebody in our family or somebody we never met, that's us at our best, and that's what we should be doing.
Dr.
I love it.
Yeah.
Where do we see Carbon?
CARBONWORKS you guys have your own website, right?
Yeah, we sure do. Well, we have, first of all, we have a YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you put in CARBONWORKS, you might see a hardware store first or something like that, but after that, you'll see us. And we also have a website, carbonworksmusic.com.
Beautiful, I love it. Dr. Neal, listen, before we go, we got to touch on one medical question, right? Because you have led so many recent studies and research studies, in investigating the effects of your diet on diabetes, body weight, chronic pain, dietary interventions, and all that. I mean, if you Google your name, Dr. Neal Barnard, there's so many things that come up. But the one thing I wanted to ask you, right there, what Dr. Neal eats in a day.
What do you eat in a day, sir?
Just to keep it on the surface and not too technical. What is the perfect daily diet? What is it?
Well, let me wrap up to this. We actually showed that diabetes is not a one-way street. Diabetes can actually be improved and sometimes even go away. When we started doing this research, we didn't think it's possible. We now know how to do it. It depends on what you eat. We know that heart disease similarly can be improved and in some cases really reverse as well. So the answer is you have to do everything that's the opposite of what I grew up doing. Which is when I grew up in cattle country. I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota. You've probably seen the movie.
A lot of meat.
Pork chops, roast beef, eggs, bacon, all that stuff. And I don't eat any of that now. I do an entirely plant-based diet, vegan diet, no animal products whatsoever. Now, it sounds like a challenge, but it's really not. Instead of meat chili, I'll have the bean chili. Or instead of spaghetti with a meat sauce, I'll have spaghetti with the tomato sauce. Fine. You go to Taco Bell, have the bean burrito, not the meat taco. But if you make that change, something magic happens. You don't have any cholesterol in your diet anymore. You don't have any animal fat. Everything you eat is filled with vitamins and high fiber and that kind of thing. And your body responds. It's like taking a car that wants unleaded, but you've been putting diesel in all these years. And now you take out the diesel, you put in the fuel it wants, and it just purrs. So that's the diet that we use. And in our work at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, we help people to adopt that kind of diet, and they do just terrific.
Love it.
Yeah, no, it's great. And last question, simple yes or no. We grew up as kids hearing that, eggs and egg yolk, high cholesterol. Now all you hear is people, I have eggs every day and it's filled with vitamins and it's so healthy for you. Is that true or false?
Eggs really do raise cholesterol. They're on the bad list, I'm sorry to tell you.
Okay.
But there are good replacements for them. You don't need eggs anymore.
Beautiful. Egg whites, Suki. I always tell you egg white.
Throw out the white, throw out the yolk, throw out the shell. You could, I'll tell you, if a person scrambles tofu and they get over the idea it's tofu, they love that. Or there's this new product. Have you seen this at the store? It's in the refrigerator case called Just Egg. And it comes out like eggs that you might have kind of forked up a little bit so that you could put them in your pan. It just comes out of a bottle. You put it in there. You would swear it's eggs. But
I've seen it. I'm going to try it.
Yeah, look at that.
Try it. You just scramble it up. Throw a little salt and pepper, nutritional yeast, or chunks of vegetables in there. There was a hospital chef who showed me this. I was doing a lecture to cardiologists, and he said, I want to show you a trick. And he made this big thing of what everybody thought was scrambled eggs. It looks like it, it tastes like it. But he said, no, it's Just Egg. And that's the brand, Just Egg.
I love it. Dr. Neal Barnard, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, thank you. Come see us at CARBONWORks. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah,
we
Dr.
love it.
Neal.
We love it. Dr. Neal?
Check out CARBONWORks online, on YouTube, on their website. If you want to get some amazing dietary information like we just got, you could Google Dr. Neal or Neal Barnard CARBONWORks, and he's just...
I mean, here's the biggest takeaway.
Yeah.
He's living his life and following both of his
dreams.
passions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Both of his dreams, and he's helping us all understand that you don't have to do one thing. You can be true to yourself, musically, whatever it is.
Dr. Neal, next time you come on, I'd like to see leather jacket, little open shirt.
Sure.
In your dreams. Sunglasses maybe.
Thank you, my friend. Dr. Neal, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And
I love you guys. You guys are the best. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir. We hope you had a good time. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Take care. Dr. Neal Barnard. Suki, we fooled everybody again today, Suki.
We always seem to fool them, but we had a spectacular show
what
today.
A great
spectacular show.
Great
good
show.
Energy, good feelings, good vibes.
George Lopez on earlier, Dr. Neal Barnard. We're going to we'll rerun the show later on in the day. Now that we're out past everything, Suk, tomorrow, Cinco de Mayo. Today is Suki de Mayo, the day before.
Yep.
And it's also the Kentucky Derby this weekend.
Yes.
Listen, you were doing, before we go,
Okay.
you had 2 truths and a lie
Oh
written.
boy, I think I said everything.
No, I don't know if you did them all. Did you do everything? Give me one thing. Give me one truth that maybe you didn't do before. Because weren't you picking and choosing?
Yeah,
You had too many.
Yeah.
Give me one more.
I don't know.
I don't even have, this is a truth, right? Because you did all your lies.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the one truth you did?
Voted most likely to succeed in high school.
That was true? No, that was a lie. We
was a
said
lie.
that was a lie.
Okay, good.
Because you won the shot contest,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Oh, I hold a Guinness World Record.
4. That's not true. You hold the Guinness record?
Yes, I do.
Get the heck out of here.
For picking
what?
up the most M&Ms on live TV with a chopstick.
Really? Was that on the morning
It
show?
was on the morning show.
How many M&Ms did you do?
51.
Really?
Yes.
You know what we're doing next week right here on this show, right? You're going to try and beat that record. It was 51 M&Ms.
I believe so. I don't know.
In
it
what,
was
1
really
minute?
high. It was
In
really
1
high.
minute?
It was a lot. I think it was like 41. It was myself and another co-anchor.
Lee Moore, get the folks from
And he
Guinness
was
on the
really
phone.
upset he didn't get it.
I want them here next week. Got another great show coming up for you next week, guys. Have a great weekend.
Take care
Sook,
of yourself.
I am the parent of a college graduate, Suki.
Big day.
She's
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Maddie girl. She's graduating.
Maddie, I remember when you were turning 16.
Oh my God.
Right? Remember wishing her a happy 16th on air, live on
And
air?
I think I was on air when I congratulated her for getting into Penn State.
Yes, you were.
Yeah. I literally said that on the air, and now it's her graduation. Boop. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, $300,000.
I feel sorry for you and your I feel sorry for you and your wife because I've never met parents that enjoyed college as much as these
Suki,
two.
we had more fun at Penn State than she did.
I think you did. Happy Valley was a good time.
Yes. All right, everybody. Listen, thank you so much for hanging out. See you guys next week. Share the show. Tell everybody about it. We love you. And Jeff, you got, we're going to leave you. Oh, Philly Kid. Little devil went down to Georgia from our man, Philly. You know we don't go anywhere without Phil ending a show.
Bye,
Phil.
Phil.
It's like Johnny Castle always does the last dance of the summer. Philly Kid always ends this show,
Johnny
ladies
Castle.
and gentlemen. Have a great day. Philly Kid, devil went down to Georgia. We'll see you later.
The devil went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind and he was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what. I guess you don't know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you care to take a dare, I'll make a bet with you. Now you play pretty good fiddle, boy, but give the devil his due. I'll bet a fiddle of gold against your soul because I think I'm better than you." Now the boy said, "My name is Johnny, and hell, it might be a sin, but I'll take your bet you're gonna regret, cause I'm the best it's ever been. Johnny, rosin up that bow and play your fiddle hard, cause hell broke loose in Georgia and the devil deals in cards. And if you win, you get this shiny fiddle made of gold, and if you lose, the devil will get your soul." The devil opened up his case and he said, "I'll start this show." And fire flew from his fingertips as he rosined up his bow. And he pulled the bow across the strings and it made an evil hiss. And a band of demons joined in and it sounded something like this. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Woo! When the devil finished, Johnny said, "Well, that's pretty good, old son. But sit down in that chair right there and let me show you how it's done. Fire on the mountain, run, boy, run. Oh, devil in the house with the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Yeah, Granny does it all by no child, no." The devil lowered his head because he knew that he'd been beat. And he laid that golden fiddle on the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, "Devil, just come on back if you ever want to try again. Because I told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best it's ever been. Fire on the mountain, run, boy, run. Oh, devil in the house with the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Yeah, Granny does it all by no child, no, yeah.